Dustin, I guess, has been in the lab now about 6 years. We've gotten to really know each other. He's done a lot of great work. In fact, probably with the benefit of hindsight, it was one of the dumbest decisions he ever made. The dumbest and best decisions he ever made to come to my lab, because I think he's been well trained. I think he's learned a lot. But he really ambitiously and boldly came to my lab, which works on development of several different mesodermal organ systems, but probably best known for our work on heart development. And Dustin got in his head that my lab would be a perfect place to come and study B-cell development. And I'm not sure what he was thinking, but he felt like our lab was an interesting training environment with some cool approaches, but he had this real strong desire to study immunology. And so he has come and really, on his own, I think, very independently, put together a beautiful project that he'll tell you more about today, so I won't belabor that too much. But Dustin has basically solved a long-standing question in immunology. We've known for 20 or more years that when B lymphocytes encounter antigen, they rapidly proliferate in response to that antigen. And for more than a decade, we've known that that's been MAP kinase signaling dependent. But the downstream terminal transcriptional effectors of that response have remained unknown for that time. And Dustin has figured that out and assembled really, I think, an elegant pathway starting at receptor stimulation at the surface of the B cell and ending with direct phosphorylation of a transcription factor called MEF2C. And I think it's a pretty clever title. Maybe I understand it, the title of Dustin's thesis, which is The Birds and the Bees, because he's talking about the birth and proliferation of B cells and the role that the transcription factor MEF2C plays in that. So I'm not going to, I get to talk about science all the time, but I rarely get to talk about all the various and diverse aspects of guy Dustin Kim. So I thought I'd just present a few pictures collected over the years that point out the various different aspects of Dustin. So when he first came to my lab, I thought he was just like any other nerdy kid from the Ivy League. You know, he was kind of, you know, when he first came and met with me, he's very serious and wanted to talk science. And you know, that was really reflected in some of the first things he did in the lab. I mean, here he is, we were taking lab photos, and Dustin begged me to pose in front of begged me to pose. Most of the guys were posing with beer, or Dave McCulley was posing and pretending he was chugging a thing of LB, and Dustin insisted that I take his lab photo for the website, which his pointer's kind of dying. Insisted that I take this pointer in front of the newly assembled human genome. You can see another thing, these are early pictures from his first days in our lab. You can see him here too, hard at work, wearing his jacket in the lab. And it's hard to see here, but he's busy doing some bioinformatic analysis on the computer. So, you know, I definitely got in my mind that, you know, Dustin was a great guy, a very smart scientist, obviously ambitious and bold, but you know, kind of this nerdy guy. I couldn't have been more wrong, but that was my first impression. Okay, but you know, it didn't take me very long to learn that Dustin was going to be a good lab mate, a good ringleader, a good lab mate. And you know, he participates in all the various lab events, bowling trips, camping trips. Here you see him on a camping trip with an earlier version of our lab. I guess this is probably 3 or 4 years ago. Some current and former lab mates, some good friends of Dustin's, Courtney Brown, Mike Verzi, and Analia Height. There's Sarah Duvall and her fiance James, and Annabelle Rojas, who was kind of a postdoc who worked in the same sort of in the same part of the lab as Dustin, and would, you know, harass him periodically. And there's Pooja and her husband Amit. And here's Dustin on the heart walk, and he was kind of a ringleader of this. Well, actually, I think maybe I was the ringleader, but then I forgot to show up. So I think the story goes that I whipped the whole lab into a frenzy that we should participate in this American Heart Association walk, because they've been such good benefactors of our lab. And then Dustin or somebody, maybe, I can't remember who organized the t-shirts, but they got this whole t-shirt thing together and organized it and did this heart walk, and then I forgot to show up. So here Dustin, of course, always really has been great in that regard. Has always showed up, and I think because he's been a good lab mate and because he's turned out to be this really fun guy. It's really obvious that he's a good friend. So here he is with Analia Height, you know, kind of hanging out, partying. More about that to come in a little bit. Here he is with his old pal EJ. And I was hoping EJ might, you know, he's still here more than he's not. Here he is with EJ and with Dave McCulley. And so let me see if I can do it for you. Do monkey. No. Do funky monkey. Is that right? Let's repeat that over and over again. The funky monkey. The funky monkey. So Dustin has always been great for hanging out in the lab, after the lab, lots of the friends with the lab. And it partly reflects one of the aspects of Dustin that I kind of got to know right after I figured out that he was a nerd from Yale. I figured out that he was kind of a partier too. So usually if there's a guy who's may have overindulged on occasion at one of the Black Lab events, you can pretty much count on the fact that